Okay, it's not long to Dragonflight, and it's even shorter to pre-patch. Now, maybe you've got that hunger, or just a passing interest in doing something inside World of Warcraft, so the question is what? And today, turns out, there's quite a lot you can be at. Alright, alts. Alts are going to be more important than ever in Dragonflight. This is an expansion that doesn't have Shadowlands or BFA-like systems that act as big old barriers to gameplay. It's just a case of getting gear, and that does mean that playing multiple alts will be quite a bit more fun, and with the profession revamp, there's definitely a more decent chance you'll actually want or have utility for multiple alts. So, leveling new characters. From now till pre-patch, which is likely October 25th, a 50% XP buff will be active. If you really want to power level, then Warlords of Draenor is generally considered to be the fastest, and you can check out this 10 through 50 video that we did back in Shadowlands. It is a little old, but it's still completely accurate, and the 50% buff will make things go insanely quickly. Unfortunately though, 50 through 60 will have to be done within the Shadowlands zones until pre-patch hits, because after pre-patch hits, the game technically is in Dragonflight land, and Shadowlands will be a part of the Chromie time system, which will extend up to level 60, meaning you can level 50 through 60 in places other than the Shadowlands, which I think is a good thing. And I've got two very good bits of news, the first of which is today's sponsor. So we all know your boy Steve loves himself some fractals. Well, Brilliant.org has got something awesome. Now, they are the best way to improve your prospects, to develop yourself, especially in those lucrative, important fields. And it's all done via their fantastic site and app, and the first 200 to click my link will get 20% off. Now, right, here is the beautiful geometry course. I mean, let's look at some of these topics. We've got infinite arithmetic, dragon folding, and strange polygons, just to name a few. Do you want to know what dragon folding is? I do. And as they put it, to MC Escher and beyond, I loved going through this. This was a really, really fun course. There's just something about how you deal with like infinitely repeating things that's just a really satisfying click in your brain. Like, I imagine that's the same click that sparks all of the, like, you know, the maths enthusiasts, and they just love maths, and they see a beauty in it, and it's like, if you don't know that, you don't know what it feels like. With this, I felt that. It was really awesome. And I just found this one to be super engaging, I think because it's very visual, and just in the way you can, like, see and feel what you're coming to understand. It's just fun. So I don't know about you, but, like, I have so many gaps in my knowledge. I feel like, I mean, you know what it is? You know, you're done with uni, you get into work, and you just sort of stop learning, you know? I felt like I'd fallen off the wagon a bit. But Brilliant's got me learning again because their interactive quiz, very visual approach, it is simply the best out there. I will straight up say that. And if you are keen to make a career move as well, I mean, man, that is a great place to learn some extremely valuable skills. So hit up brilliant.org/Bellular Warcraft today. The first 200 of you to click are going to get 20% off your annual subscription, and seriously, they are just worth your time. The second of which, well, that is that Dragonflight massively squishes the XP required for 1 through 60. I essentially believe that Blizzard want 1 through 70 to take as long as 1 through 60 kind of would now. I guess sans the boost. So, that means avail of the boost now during the pre-patch, but don't really feel that bad if you miss it, because the slash and XP required that will arrive with pre-patch, which is when the boost ends, is actually quite massive in itself. Now, I've heard that maths-wise it's best to level to like 34 or something like that now, and then do the rest later. Personally, I'd say just get your characters up to level 50 now, and then wait. And once pre-patch comes in, make use of the level squish. And I say that because levels 50 through 60 have their XP requirement squished by, it's like 75% or something. It's massive. And if 60 through 70, which is the new leveling, of course, in Dragonflight, if that feels a bit daunting on multiple characters, I would actually say don't worry that much. They've got a Threads of Fate-like setup that's pretty solid, and your Dragonriding carries over from your main, so you should be able to get going pretty quick in alts. Finally then, if your edition of Dragonflight has a boost, but you plan on leveling multiple characters anyway, maybe on top of the boost, I would say be careful not to miss out on a heritage armor set for work you'll be doing anyway. The allied race heritage armor sets require hitting level 50 without using a boost, so it would be ideal to boost non-allied race characters and then just level the allied race yourself. Prepare your UI. This is a simple enough one because many add-ons will have already updated based on Dragonflight being on PTR. But of course, Dragonflight itself does have a bit more because of the UI revamp, and this may allow you to remove a few add-ons. WoW's new default is not nearly as customizable as Elv UI, but a lot of people don't really like using Elv anyway, and they just want a more customizable, official-looking UI, so this should be a pretty damn good option. If you are watching this video during PTR, then honestly just hop onto the PTR, use the new system, customize it, see what you can make, because that will just let you play around with this right now and with add-ons, because that way you'll be able to see what add-ons you can remove, what ones you can keep, and you can have the perfect UI built and ready for launch day so that you're not left, playing the new expansion, but also in the back of your head really wanting to put like 15 hours into a UI revamp, which is a common feeling for me. Okay then, time for some of the usuals. First, these are some things that will be removed in the pre-patch. So, getting a 1500 Mythic Plus rating unlocks the Shrouded title, while a 2000 rating unlocks the Restoration Deathwalker mount. Now, you might not want to stop at an average of plus 15 in the season though, because getting plus 20s will unlock a teleport to each dungeon, and that is something that can be extremely handy, especially considering the location of the Season 4 dungeons. Now, these may still be unlockable after this season, but there's a little bit of inconsistency with the team's past and current messaging, so start now. The usual seasonal PvP things apply too, so obviously do your, seasonal rating-based achievements, but you probably didn't need to be told that. Next then, we've got things that you will not be able to get when the expansion launches. So, while there's no faded ahead of the curve, Zovelle does still drop his heroic mount, right? Then there's also the mythic mounts that come from him and Sylvanas. Those will have a 1% drop rate once Dragonflight launches, down from a 100% chance to drop 2, before Dragonflight launch day. So that's definitely worth thinking about. And if you're watching this video before pre-patch, remember that you can still do these raids on a non-fated week. They'll have their old item level, but if you have a bunch of fated tier raid loot, then you should be able to knock these things out a bit easier. Also, per Blizzard's wording, the Wandering Ancient mount is rewarded when logging into Shadowlands. So I guess once it's Dragonflight, that will no longer be available. I don't know. Otherwise then, there is the Back from the Beyond achievement, which rewards the Veil Strider title. This is a humongous meta achievement of meta achievements that will take a serious amount of work. Beyond that then, of course, some things will just be a bit harder when fewer people are playing the Shadowlands content. That's just stuff like the hero achievements, the specific raid boss achievements, that kind of thing. So it's probably a good idea to do those now with your raid team if you're still playing, and actually they can be quite fun to just knock out. Now, obviously, do not ruin the game for yourself. One thing you could do is a little bit of pre-research, and I'll do one example of that. Take the location of all the Dragonriding glyphs, right? Those are used to unlock the Dragonriding talents, and they're just in a fixed place in the world, so if you wanted to plan out getting those ahead of launch so that you could just hop in and maybe clear them all out in like 2 hours and then just have maxed out Dragonriding forever, including on your alts, you could do that as a bit of prep, just as an example. Professions then, for this one it's pretty simple, just research professions and level up the alt army, which we've already basically talked about. I'll just note that you don't need to level up the professions themselves beforehand because profession levels are expansion specific, but with them being quite a bit more important for the end game, I'd say it probably is worth planning them out on your alts. And while you could always just get a work order and have another crafter do it, I'd say it probably would at least be handy to have the core crafting professions covered amongst your guild, so it might be worth coordinating in that. If I was going for earning gold, I suppose I would try to have like a scribe, enchanter, jeweler, alchemist, and like a bank alt, plus the TSM setup I would need for that. I mean, that's what my old goblin mode self would do, I suppose. But at the very least, I do think that you'll enjoy crafting your own gear as you level, so going for armor crafting plus the relevant gathering profession, that would offer a pretty great entry into the profession revamp of this expansion, and yeah, just get those in your characters before launch, and then you can go. Alright, real simple, learning the lore, I think decently useful to know what's actually going on, and rather than a whole bunch of like weird concepts or whatever, crazy Shadowlands shit, this expansion is just picking up with older characters and lore that is fairly familiar, which is nice. But if you've only just started playing within the last few years, a lot of that will like not be known to you. So before patch 8.2, the larger Dragonflight lore happened at Cataclysm, so knowing their past, plus the comings and goings of Rathian as a character, and the basics of the history of the Titans, that would definitely set you up. We do have loads of lore videos on the way, but overall that's what I would say. Okay, you're set up. Now is a good time to redo your UI, but also a little bit of your home setup. I think it's an underrated thing. You're going to be spending hours and hours and hours playing the game, and maybe even spending hours building your UI, but why not spend some hours actually making the area around your computer nicer so that it's more comfortable and enjoyable? These things actually do matter. So this could be things like putting your monitor on a VESA arm. That's a pretty simple upgrade. You could also use a desk shelf. I guess there's those really expensive Grove-made ones, or there's like the more affordable options like an IKEA. Maybe you want a task light in your monitor, maybe a nice big desk mat, and also get some good cable management. That'll only take you a few hours, a few basic items from Amazon, and some command strips. I ended up doing a bunch of this, and honestly, I just really way prefer my setup now. It's more enjoyable to do things at it, including gaming. Another important thing to do that's not inside WoW.exe is planning out your launch day. Number one, here are the launch times across the world. I would say, though, do plan that day, and also do remember that stability of servers may not be 100%. Personally, what I do in the time coming up to launch day is I pretty much stop playing video games and I focus 100% on work so that I can actually get ahead of shit as much as I can. Now, for launch days, I used to go mad. I used to pull all-nighters and do all of that, but no, it's actually definitely a net negative in terms of efficiency, even as much as I do have nostalgia for being like, I don't know, a gram of caffeine, half a fridge, and 30 hours deep into goblin mode. Now, Dragonflight's first season will start on the week of December 12th. The one thing that is a bit new, of course, is that the Mythic raids will be open on that same day, but it does mean you've got 2 weeks from launch before the hard content starts. And I do think that because of the importance of professions and all of that stuff, and how there are reps to do, and you know, there's content that will kind of wax and wane daily, it does just highlight that it is a marathon, not a sprint. I don't want to shock anyone, but having a quick think is useful because maybe you're stuck in your ways. I just want to say that new expansions are a perfect time to reevaluate your in-game goals and what drives you. So, starting something new, maybe paying attention to the lore, trying a new type of content, a new role. That does actually take mental effort, but it may just shake things up. It certainly did for me. I've been a lifelong DPS player. One of the things that I did with Season 4 of this expansion was just force myself to heal on Disc Priest, which was very off-meta in Mythic+, but that's all fine. It was really fun, and I actually started to enjoy the game a hell of a lot more. Yes, it was definitely more effort starting up a new thing and learning some new things, but I absolutely was rewarded in just enjoying the gameplay being shaken up. So, I would say, as an example, this is a perfect expansion to just go fully into professions. So maybe if you decide beforehand that you actually want to give that a shot, then you can actually do it. Because who knows, perhaps after expansion and expansion and expansion of varying forms of Raid, Mythic Plus, and PvP, we've all got used to WoW being a Destiny-style lobby game, not an MMORPG. It might break the conditioning to shake things up a little bit. Well, of course, the more Blizzard do to bulk out the PvE and PvP world content, the easier that'll be, but you get my drift. So that's it for today's video. It's decently good that there's not a humongous amount of stuff that you can do to prep other than just leveling a bunch of vaults because, well, the more goblin mode now that would be useful, it would kind of give people a weird advantage on launch day. But yeah, I do think that there's actually quite a lot that you can do. Things like deciding to try a new role, trying out some new classes, that sort of thing. I think that actually can really stand to you. Yeah, like, you can just enjoy the game more, and sometimes it does take a little bit of effort to do that, so why not try to work that out before the expansion launches, so that you don't level a character up but work out, oh, you just want to do something else. Seriously, just moving over to healing really did help me enjoy the game a hell of a lot more. That said, doing world content in a Shadow Priest may not be lovely, so who knows, maybe I'll get angry again. Anyway, that's it for me. Let me know, are you shaking things up for this expansion? And I'll see you next time.